Good afternoon, guys. It is Monday. It is the fresh start of the week. Ruben Amorim starts work today or until his visa's kind of pending and comes in and all that kind of stuff. But technically, he's flying into Manchester today. Exciting stuff. We're going to have a whole 2 weeks to discuss him in depth, tactics, subs, all those kind of things we're going to get into. But what I want to do today is, for anyone who's watched the show before anyway, they know it's pros and cons. We discussed the negatives and positives from the game from the night before, right? We're going to do that, as always. But what I wanted to do, and big up Steph, big up Charlie, big up Joshua in the chat already. Appreciate you guys, as always, and Andy as well. I want to start off with a video, right? And the reason I'm going to start off with this video is because there was a situation that happened over the past week that's gone viral, and I'm sure the guys loving it and milking every second of it. I mean, even Match of the Day was talking about it, TalkSport. We're going on about it, and we've all seen the clip of that idiot Planet Faz with a phone in front of Garnacho's face, like, do this today, mate, and do that, and all this kind of stuff, right? I just want to play this video for you guys. Just watch it. That is what it's about. Do you know what I mean? I almost got a bit emotional watching that, to be fair. But the reason why I played that is because no matter in life, whether you are a football player, you know, everyday life, whether you could just be a regular job, right? You could be a waitress. You could do whatever. You will always get, and this is for anyone, one negative person. And people always seem to remember the negatives rather than the positives, right? It's just how the brain works. They're just of fear and hate, and that's what sticks into people's mind. You can have 100 people telling you how great you are, but if one person tells you how bad you are, that's one thing that will stick out, right? And I just think you can't be listening to criticism of, like, people like that who, you know, their intentions. The reason why they're doing it is to get people talking about him, to be that controversial, that niche group who everyone's going on about. You should be more focused on stuff like that, inspiring kids around the world who are coming to that could have been his first game. I don't know if the kid's been before. I think it was Rachel Elizabeth, whose TikTok it was, who put it out. So not claiming the content or anything, of course. It's a great video. But just the point of it is, you know, you're inspiring kids like that. That means the absolute world to them. They're the kind of things that you should focus on, rather than all this nonsense outside of staying your idiots videoing you and trying to get, you know, clicks for the channel and that kind of stuff. I really, really like that video. The bigger channels will tell you it's, the negative channels, should I say, will tell you it's PR and he's only doing this to this, what have you. Let them be negative. We know where we're at. We all support Garnacho. He's a top player. I thought he didn't even really need to. He should have celebrated that goal yesterday. Like, don't give them what they want, you know, because there's a very small minority within the stadium potentially that are giving him shit. You're going to get that. You're at Manchester United. That's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately. But those kind of videos, that's what you should be inspiring to, because that kind of stuff is what, you know, is what we really care about. So I just wanted to start off with that before we dive into the pros and cons. But welcome, everyone. How are we all doing? Charlie saying Amorim does need that work permit before he can start working. Big up Charlie and Real Reds Talk Legends. Big up yourselves. That Garnacho vid is class with the young fans. Viva Garnacho's class both on and off the pitch. Josh saying, I've not seen his video. I only saw the video where he got angry but didn't have the volume on. Not going to lie, I felt so uncomfortable with Bruno's interview and thinking fans don't believe in him. It's easier to be infamous than famous. Exactly. And look, I know you guys are like that anyway. You guys are, I know you'd be critical. I know Andy, for example, is critical of the manager, but I don't think you don't take it to that level where you're being, like, personal, like, at least from what I've seen anyway, you haven't. So, yeah, Good afternoon. Let's just dive into the pros and cons, shall we? Because that's what we're here for. I don't know about you guys, but I'm actually feeling relatively happy after that game for once. I think, and there's multiple reasons involved: individual performances, 3 points, clean sheet, a new chapter. Rude went unbeaten. There was other teams dropping points as well. So the question is, where do we start? Should we get the little negatives, tiny negatives out of the way, and then we'll discuss the positives? Let's do that, shall we? Dalot and Rashford, I think there needs to be a conversation about, for me personally. I think yesterday was Dalot's 44th start for United in a row. And you could tell, like, I think he looks really, really tired. I think he struggled in the first half. Their winger, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Someone will know in the chat. I should know it. But their winger, had him on toast, basically. Really, really struggled. I think the past couple of weeks, I've mentioned him a few times now in the cons, where he's just his usual standards. Oh, I don't even know if it's his usual standards, but he had a period, didn't he, where he actually looked all right, and he looked like he was progressing and getting better. And we know about his application and attitude off the pitch, which is always great. But this situations where he's either not tracking a man, or he's being, caught off guard, or just little bits like that. He seems to be creeping into his game at the minute. And likewise with Bruno, he's played a lot of games. He's, always available for Portugal. He never gets injured for United, always available for us. And you can almost think, like, well, Eric Ten Hag, the way he played and set up, it killed loads of players off. I mean, look how many muscle injuries we had in the team. I'm surprised Dalot and Bruno must just be indestructible at this point, because I don't think I've ever seen Dalot injured. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but from my memory, I can't remember. But both of them were subbed off it was after 57 minutes, I think. And there was the right decisions. That's another thing. Under Ten Hag, we'd all pull our hair out until we actually had no air like Ten Hag. When we watched the substitutions, when we'd all sit here as a collective and we'd go, he needs to bring him off, needs to bring him on, bring this guy on. And sometimes his substitutes, you'd be like, he'd keep Rashford on when he had a stinker, and he'd do certain things, and you're watching it and you're like, I don't get why this man is doing this. And yesterday, I think as a collective, majority of people went, you need to hook Dalot and Rashford off. They've both been poor. Dalot losing 1v1 battles, Rashford just non-existent, extremely quiet, and I think the stats kind of play into that. So yesterday, Marcus Rashford versus Leicester, 0 out of 4 crosses, 2 out of 4 dribble attempts, 1 out of 5 ground duels won, with way too flaky in 50-50s, always pulls out, is a bit like hesitant to go into him, lost possession 15 times, and then you've got that whole situation with, like, who starts on the left wing, because I actually think Garnacho is better off the bench. But none of them are starters, really. So maybe you have to go with Garnacho and try grind a bit of form out of Marcus Rashford. But I think there needs to be a conversation in the summer for sure about him, because he's 27 years old now and he's just continuously putting out these kind of flat performances. Dalot equally. Fatawu, that was the winger's name. 3 out of 12 ground duels won. 3 out of 12. 0 out of 3 aerial duels won. Committed 3 fouls. There was a period with both of them as well, even this season, where I saw glimmers of, like, Rashford, where he was being a bit more of a playmaker, and I thought, okay, let's see how this kicks on, and then just went flat again. And then Dalot likewise as well. You see certain games where you're like, Dalot had a really good game today. Happy with his progression, but he's not really a young player anymore. Dalot, I think he's 25, right? So from when we first bought him under Jose Mourinho, has he developed to the point? After, I mean, how long has it been now? 5 years? Has he developed to the point where you thought he would? Not for me at the moment. So I think, I think that has to come into consideration. And also, where is Ruben Amorim going to play these lads? Is Marcus Rashford going to be used in one of those inside 10 slots? I don't think so. Can he work as a wing-back? Not a prayer. No chance can he work as a wing-back. Because he's just not... One, he's not got the work rate for it, first and foremost. I'd hate to see him even defending when we're going, if we're pinned back a little bit. I just can't see that at all. So then does he use, as Chivy mentioned last night when we did the review, maybe he uses him as like a target, not a target man, Jesus Christ, that'd be even worse, as what we use with Gicker as a striker in that system, but I don't like him as a 9 either. So some question marks. Dalot, I'm presuming he probably slots into the wing-back position, and to be honest, he would probably be better in there. I think, because less defensive responsibilities, you can bomb forward and create. But I still think he needs to improve that game. I don't think he's a frimpong in that sense going forward. But I think he'd be much more comfortable there for me personally. But what do you guys think? Talk to me. In my opinion, Rude did the perfect restart for Ruben. Agreed. Yeah, thank you for that, Josh. Appreciate that, brother. Please do leave a like on the video for us if you can, just whilst you're watching. That'd be very nice. Steph saying Dallo must be knackered signing all those autographs and doing selfies pre-match. And don't forget the high fives as well. We know he's notorious for a high five, don't we? I met Dallo at the Chelsea game. He chatted to me for a couple of minutes. I've been saying he should be dropped, but you could tell he was tired, and I asked him why he was switched to left back. He said he feels better on the right. Ahmad needs more starts. Listen, Mark, wait until we get into the positive section. I've got plenty of stuff I want to speak about in terms of Ahmad and Bruno and a few others, so don't worry about that. Fatawu signed for Leicester from Sporting, fun fact. Joshua Owen with the knowledge, as always. Thank you. And we need a left-footed wing-back, left-back. Absolutely, Steph. Fully agree with that. So that's the first negative. There's only 2 negatives today because we won 3-0, so how can you have any more than 2? The next one, we're going to stick with the attack, and some of you guys won't be surprised about this. Let's see if we can telepathically connect it. What am I going to go for? Rasmus Højlund. Rasmus Højlund. So there was a stat that came out at halftime last night. Rasmus Højlund had the least touches, 14 of any player on the pitch in the first half. And then in the second half, it was even worse. He had 9 touches with a total of 23. Wait, is that right? That good math? 6 plus, yeah, 23. I thought I got that wrong then. The question is, what do United need to do to get the best out of him or to get the ball to him more? Is it his own fault? Or do you think he's not supplying it enough? Because I'm going to give my take on it. But when you watch Rasmus, are you sat there like screaming at the TV saying, give it, play it across to him, supply chances to him? Or are you watching him saying he's not holding it up good enough, he's not doing this well, he's not running in behind, he's not timing his runs? What are you thinking when you watch him? Because if you look at United in the league, right, they're 5th in the league, sorry, for chance creation, 27. Bruno individually, 7 big chances created so far this season. But I think a lot of them are for the wingers, for Garnacho's. Because you look at how many shots he's having a game. Rashford as well. I think the midfielders are getting involved. It just doesn't, Rasmus doesn't seem to be clicking. Doesn't seem to have that connection. So a deep dive kind of into his average kind of metrics, so his shots per game. He's averaging 0.7 shots per game. 0.7. For comparison, right? Erling Haaland's having 5 or more shots per game. Solanke, Nicholas Jackson, 3 shots per game. So actually, a structural change might bring the best out of him with AMORIM coming in. Maybe Højlund will become that source of goals because you don't play with those wingers, do you? Play with those inside 10s. Maybe Bruno and Ahmad slot in there, and then they become the supply line for Rasmus, and maybe his stats will start to pick up. One thing I'll definitely say on Rasmus, though, is, and it was really annoying me, and it's always been evident, but more so the past couple of weeks, and I'm not sure why. His first touch is like, do you remember them school trampolines that you have in school, funnily enough? But like the proper sports ones that everyone used to love going on, and you go dead high, and you can do your fucking pirouettes and all that kind of stuff. Or your Rudies. Are they called Rudies? Yeah, for anyone who gets trampoline terminology. His touch is like that. You play it into him. It's just like he's got no soft cushion where you can just bring it in. And sometimes that, like, I've mentioned this so many times, like, look at Lewandowski, how he receives a ball. Look at Harry Kane. Look at all these top strikers who can just bring it in, cushion it, and then play it off. Our attack breaks down when it goes into him because he can't hold it up. Now, maybe we shouldn't be using him as much as a target man as we're trying, because it does feel like that at times. And he is a big lad. He is quite strong, but I just don't think that's his game whatsoever. I think those inside 10s coming in with AMORIM, if you have intelligent players in there like Ahmad and Bruno, they can manipulate space and they can play Rasmus in behind. That's the kind of stuff that I want to see. The wing-backs, naturally, people would think, well, they can start putting crosses into the box. Under AMORIM, they're not really a crossing team from what I've seen. I didn't mean that to rhyme, but take that. So, yeah, I'm interested. I mean, there's many reasons why I'm interested to see AMORIM coming in, who's, how he's going to work tactically, how he's going to set up. But Rasmus is one of the ones I'm looking at, and I'm like, another thing I'll add on to that, I probably sound like a negative guy here, don't I? But the other thing I'll add on to this, right, is I don't think Rasmus should be our #1 striker. And by saying that, I'm not saying I think Xerxes should be. I think we need an experienced striker in there who's going to guarantee 15, 20, 25 goals in a season. And I think Rasmus should be an impact player who should learn to grow with that player. Now, maybe they will go and get a Gyökeres in the summer because he's 26, 27. He's a lot more experienced than Rasmus, played more games in Europe. So maybe they'll go down that line. But on reflection now, I remember going through with a couple of lads from the channel discussing it, saying, should we bring in someone who's young, upcoming to compete with Rasmus? So I was looking at someone like a Benjamin Sesko, for example. Or should we bring in a bit more experience? You know, Ivan Toney was available, but there's talks about Karim Benzema and these kind of guys. And people may laugh at that, but age is just a number for a lot of cases. I mean, Lewandowski right now for Barcelona is still absolutely killing it. It's like 35. Harry Kane's in his 30s. I think we need like an experienced striker. I really, really do. Because we've got a very young forward three. And I think there's a bit of naivety in there. If you have a Benzema in the middle, let's say, with Garnacho and Ahmad either side, he commands that respect and he commands those kind of play it into me now. You know what I mean? Rasmus hasn't really got that authority yet and he hasn't really got going. So I'd like to see an experienced striker in there. Just for me personally. Another fascinating situation, isn't it? So, before I dive into the positives, let's go back to the comments. Absolutely need a striker. De Ligt and Ugarte monsters yesterday. Interesting about De Ligt. I thought Ugarte was, but I didn't notice De Ligt that much. Maybe that was just me. I don't know. But yeah, I've never seen a striker play so much to a defender's strengths. I'm just sick of watching him tussling with centre-backs, to be honest. It's a bit annoying. Rashford was always favoured since day one. He never had elite ability as a top-class player. Strong comment there from Lumen. Nice to see so many of you, by the way. Welcome if you are just joining in. We're going through the pros and cons. We're going to get onto the positives now, so let's do it. Bruno, 250. Now, this boy's had a bit of slack, especially from me, I want to say. But I have, since at the start of the season, I was just super underwhelmed with his performances. He wasn't living up to the expectations and the reputation that he's kind of delivered over the past couple of years. Obviously, he got framed. He got presented with the frame, 250th appearance for Manchester United. And I thought he put on a clinic yesterday. 90 minutes, 71 touches, 2 shots, 1 goal. Maybe he'd argue that he should have 2, but obviously the one was that turned into an assist because it was a non-goal technically. 39 out of 52 passes completed, 7 chances created, 4 out of 4 tackles won for Bruno Fernandes yesterday. Much more effective with Casemiro and Manuel Ugarte behind him. I think his positional play is more effective when he's in the final third, right? That's what he's best at. He's a chance creator. He's a quick thinker. He can deliver. He can, connect. He can operate anywhere. You saw his goal from left-hand side yesterday. Ahmad Bakil curls in the bottom-hand corner. He can drift over to the right. Like, he's really effective in those kind of areas. And he's been through a bit of a difficult period. Like I said at the start of the season, I always said he overdoes it sometimes. I think he certainly, like Diego Dallo, plays too many minutes. I thought he could be managed better under Ten Hag. There were so many times when I'm watching it, I'm like, I get it, he's your captain, best player. And the type of guy that Bruno is, you see how he is on the pitch, he always wants to play, doesn't he? He's just like persistent on it, and he strikes the type of guy to throw, but have a bit of a whinge if he doesn't play. So I get that side of it, but that's, as a manager's job, that's your prerogative then to take them out when they need to be dropped, and then bring it back in when they're hungry and chomping at the bit to get back into the team. So I think it was mismanaged slightly. Like I said, his goal with Ahmad worked really, really well. I think he's got a really good connection with him. I'm going to touch on that in a minute when I get into the Ahmad section. The second goal, the build-up beforehand, so Eriksen's cutting pass, and then you had Bruno carrying it and playing it over to Garnacho. Yeah, I saw a stat yesterday. So he hadn't scored in 13 games under Erik ten Hag. Since Ruud van Nistelrooy took over, he scored 4 goals and got 2 assists in 4 games, which is impressive. He's in form now. He's picked it up, and this is what we've all been craving from Bruno Fernandes for a long, long time. So genuinely happy for him. And I thought I know some people said they cringed a little bit at it, but I thought the leadership he showed for Garnacho's thing yesterday. He scored a banger, but he didn't celebrate like he should because he felt like he lost faith from some of the fans. And he said, I told him that people always moan, but lots of people like you and enjoy what you do. So guiding those younger players. Everyone who works around United says he's great with the younger players as well. So that side of it's nice. I still think there's some question marks for me personally in terms of him being a captain. But he's playing well at the minute. And that's the main thing. So, onto this guy. My boy, Ahmad is that guy. Ahmad is that guy. I touched on his relationship with Bruno. I think they have great chemistry. 2 goals against Pauk since returning to the team. And then you have this kind of nonchalant back heel assist for Bruno, which I thought was really nice. I missed it initially when the game was playing, but obviously I rewatched the game last night. And yeah, I thought Ahmad was unbelievable. It's only the second time he has played all 90 minutes this season, believe it or not. But I'm obviously expecting that to kind of improve when Ruben comes in. He offers more balance. He can go either way. Very strong for his size. Links up really well with players around him. You guys are going to get me tired of me saying this reference, but it's true. When I watch Arsenal, Ben White, Saka, Ødegaard have played so many games together, and that triangle on the right-hand side, dangerous. They're starting to do it now with the left-hand side as well, whether it's Rice, Martinelli or Trossard, and then Timber, let's say, for example. And you can go through teams. Loads of teams have that connection. De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Foden. Like, they all have these triangles of players. And I think we're starting to get that now with like a Mazraoui, Bruno, Ahmad. Players who you can play with, who are good under pressure, offer solutions in a lot of areas of the pitch. They're the kind of players that you need. And a mad stat for Bruno actually yesterday. 8 out of 12 ground duels won. Not for Bruno, sorry. For Amad Diallo, 8 out of 12 ground duels won. And I think a huge problem at United has always been the wingers not running enough, not pressing with enough intensity on and off the ball, runners with it. I think that's been a massive, massive flaw in their game. And Ahmad, as you saw for his goal as well against Pauk, proper hassling, like hunting this guy down, wins it back off him and gets a goal. And that's the kind of attitude you need to see from our wingers. Really good in the air for his height as well. Won a couple of aerial duels. I think that right attacking 10 under Amarim in that half space operating, I think that has Ahmad all over. I think he's going to really flourish in that system. Who's on the other side? I'm not sure. Do you play Bruno there? Do you go Bruno, Ahmad, and Rasmus? What happens to Garnacho, Rashford, these kind of guys? Anthony, if you want to throw him in there, maybe Anthony becomes a wing back, which I'm actually not opposed to be fair. But yeah, Ahmad, I'm happy with him, man, because this is a kid I've been pushing for time, man. And it's not about a personal thing or it's not a narcissistic thing. I'm genuinely happy for him because I've watched his rise. I mean, I remember when we first linked with him, reading reports about him in Atalanta's academy and how he's doing there and what other people say about him in Italy. And then obviously coming over to England, bit of a transitional period, tough loan spell at Rangers, but then goes to Sunderland under Tony Mowbray, does, fantastic, probably their best player of the season, scores some incredible, important goals. And he's had to bide his time. I think Ten Hag should have integrated him to the team much earlier, but he was persisting with Anthony and Forson and all these guys. So yeah, I think it's his time to stay in that team now. I like it. Josh is saying, I always thought that Højlund is the type of striker Sorry, that's just comments. I always thought Højlund was the type of striker we should play him in behind instead of using him as a target man. Absolutely. My heart says Mount can be a better number 8 than Bruno. I just hope that happens. Leave Mount out of the conversation. We've got to keep him fit first. We've got to keep him fit. Bruno's more likely to get 20 Premier League goals in a season. Rashford still hasn't managed to get 20 in the league. Rashford needs to go get a fresh start somewhere else. Both Ahmad and Garnacho respect Bruno. I hope Ruben just gives Rashford the ultimatum because I'm tired of this Rashford debate. And both Ahmad and Garnacho work hard for the team. That Liverpool 4-3 win last season said it all for me. Yeah, I agree with that. And that's why it's time for a conversation about Marcus. That's why he was one of the negatives at the start of the show. Now, we're going to move it into midfield, people. And again, I think the majority of you guys will agree with this. Watching Ugarte yesterday, this is why we bought him. A showcase of ball-winning brilliance. Putting fires out left, right, centre. I love the balance with him, Bruno and Casemiro. I think that's our best balanced midfield. I know Christian Eriksen's been in really good form, and it might sound a bit harsh, but it's just our best midfield for me personally from what I've seen in terms of rhythm, in terms of positional structure. It's better. I know initially when Ugarte came in, he struggled with patterns and rhythm, all those things I was just talking about, and he looked a little bit off the pace. His passing was a little bit mad. But yesterday, we went through his stats after the game, so I don't want to do it again, but I said ball-winning brilliance. Like recoveries, interceptions, everything you want. And the good thing is now, because Casemiro can start to push up a little bit higher, and Casemiro's quite a creative player, right? We've seen those first-time passes in behind that he does. Links up with Bruno, another one who has a fantastic relationship with him. He's good, so he can push forward. And if he loses the ball, it's not a direct counter-attack, and it's, individuals. You've got Ugarte there behind us. You're like, oh, right. He's got a fire extinguisher, just like... just putting fires out left, right, centre. Love it. Absolutely love it. And again, with the manager coming in, Manuel Ugarte played his best football under Ruben Amorim. So, he's only going to get better, you would imagine. Things can only get better. Who was it who sang that? Was it Take That? Yeah. Loved it on the ball yesterday as well. That's something I've been critical of. I thought his passing was shocking the first couple of games. Like, just simple short passes under pressure weren't great. And then he played a wonder of a 70-yard pass to Garnacho, yesterday with his left foot. Incredible. So, yep. Impressed with Ugarte. All these things kind of fold into one, don't they? Because the structure is now better. Mazraoui brings balance, chemistry, calmness, composure wherever he plays. De Ligt and Lissandro getting marginally better. I'm talking like little steps up and little levels up there. They seem to be improving. Not where I want them to be, but still a lot better than Porto. Ugarte, Casemiro, not massive gaps in between them. Working together as a collective unit. You've got Casemiro's experience and Ugarte's ability to cover a lot of ground. Pressing was noticeably better. That was something that I paid attention to yesterday. Certain pressing triggers, they knew when to go, when not to. Forcing errors and turnovers without hindering the spacing behind too much. I like the way they work together in that. Because they were one of the worst pressing teams in the league. And they're still not great at it, but it was a tiny improvement. And then the passing networks as well. That will always improve with players like Bruno Fernandes, Mazraoui, Casemiro, Lisandro Martinez, who are all, and Ahmad as well, press resistant, comfortable on the ball. And you notice then the patterns and the rhythm is just to a higher standard and a higher level. You think about, you do a rondo with like, I don't know, Rashford, let's say Rashford, De Ligt. I'm trying to think of others who aren't necessarily great or comfortable. Maguire, like these kind of guys. It's not, and you bring Lisandro, Ahmad, Bruno. Much better, much better. Not some players caught strays. I didn't mean it in that way, but yeah. What we saying? He was labelled as a flop signing in his first couple of signings by many people, but they needed to give him more time. I don't know how Ugarte and Kobe works, but him and Casemiro was decent. Yeah, Kobe's an interesting one, isn't it? You would think that Kobe goes alongside Ugarte, but then I've watched Ugarte and Casemiro together, and I like it. But I don't know. There's going to be rotation, isn't there? It's not going to be definite, but maybe Mainu, like Charlie's just said, maybe you can push up into one of those 10s and operate there. But has he got enough pace at times? I just don't know. I don't know. We're going to have to see how it works. Has Amorim got his work permit already, or is he working illegally? Won't get taxed. Smart man. Yeah, I'm not sure of the situation with that. I know he's probably in Manchester right now, or he's close to being in Manchester. I'm not seeing the latest updates. But yeah, there's still some stuff regarding his visa, which I'm sure will be sorted. It'll take a couple of days, potentially. But yeah. Funnily enough, whilst I'm talking about Casemiro then, is some quotes coming out about Ugarte saying he's a great person. Little by little, he's showing that he's a national team player from Uruguay, from a team that has good players. Then he has total respect, not only mine, but all the players. I have a good connection with him. When one goes forward, the other covers and vice versa. This is how it's been. One complements the other. I think the other games have been like this. I think when he played with Christian Eriksen, there's just not enough legs in there. Personally, and it's been a massive issue for us, so it's nice to see some structure. On to the next positive. On to the next one. Rude's goodbye. Now, I didn't mean this is a positive, he's going, so I'm happy. I just mean it was a perfect end to Rude's interim spell. I'm going to get teared up. Led by example, I think he's galvanised the dressing room and brought them together after the shocking start to the season under Erik ten Hag. I think he's handled the transition with a lot of grace and humility. And now he's handing over a much healthier squad to Ruben Amorim ahead of this new chapter at Manchester United. So regardless of whether he stays, he says goodbye or remains, I think he's done himself extremely proud since he's coming. I think a lot of United fans showed that respect and faith love in the Stretford end, and likewise it was reciprocated by Ruud van Nistelrooy as well. So be interesting to see if we hear any news on that today, because apparently they were set for crunch talks. So I'm sure we'll find out some news on that, and that'll probably come into our 6 o'clock show tonight, I'm guessing. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and make sure you come and join us. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing, because we might actually end up going live before if it breaks. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, but I imagine it's been a whirlwind for him. I imagine he's happy and proud of what he's done, because I think, you know, 3 wins and a draw is nothing to be sniffed at, regardless of whatever teams you're playing. So yeah, thank you, Ruud, is what I want to say. Thank you. And now AMORIM starts work today. Like I said, a short chapter for Ruud as the interim manager. Reading into all the reaction yesterday, I think Ruud might be gone. I think AMORIM's bringing in his 4 or 5 coaches, and he wants his own people in there. I don't think Ruud necessarily wants to be like a 3rd coach or whatever. I think one thing for sure, like I said, he's taken over a much better squad. AMORIM will be happy with the results that have gone, and now the confidence is back in the team. And then you look at his first game, he's got Ipswich away. I know Ipswich have just beat Spurs, but that was literally the first win of the season. So this is a good place to start. A bit of a tune-up game with Ipswich. I don't mean no disrespect by that, but I'm just saying you've got Ipswich, then I think you've got Everton, you've got a couple of teams near the bottom, and then you play Arsenal, who aren't in the best form as well. So you continue that confidence, you start getting a couple of wins. Who knows where you're going to be in the table behind Arsenal, because we're only 4 points, I think, at the minute, or maybe even 3. You know, if Arsenal get another draw or 2, you could go into that game, and if you beat Arsenal, you could go above him. You know? It was supposed to be challenging for a title. So that's how quickly a narrative can flip and change. That's how easy it is. So we're going into this exciting chapter now. I think the league could be shook up with a good run easily. There's, like I said, there's 4 points between us and Arsenal, who are in 4th. Just 4 points. A couple of teams lose, you win, boom, straight up there. And we're quite lucky in that respect, because in that regard, sorry, because we had a really shit start to the season. Had that decision not gone against in West Ham, and there was a couple of others, you know, you could be up there, even with the season that we've had. It's crazy. This weekend alone, right, Forest, City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs, Villa, and Bournemouth, all teams above us, by the way, have dropped points. So winning, first and foremost, was great. And now you've got to start pushing up that table. Top four in terms of mathematically where we're at the moment is possible. I don't think this team can do it. Maybe the manager will prove me wrong. But I think Ineos have always put out there that they want to see an identity and a style and something that the fans can resonate with. So that's the priority first and foremost. You've got to really put your stamp on this team, and we've got to see clear ideas on what we're doing, an application, and then you build on that. We take it step by step by step. So yeah, I'm happy AMORIM's coming in. I'm a fan. Before I head off, usually we do. I don't know why it's not on there. I want to get your thoughts, because I've obviously given all mine that I wanted to go through. Where is it, man? I used our section. I don't know why it's not on here. Let me get it up for you, because this is important. I don't want to miss your guys' bits. Bruno. There we go. Let me just save this. I'll put it on the screen for you. And then, you ready for this? Usually transition, but we'll do that. That's fine. Your thoughts. Let me hear your thoughts. Is there anything that I have missed out, whether it's a positive, whether it's a negative, something you thought I should have included? Talk to me. Get in the chat and I'll read some out now. And also hit that subscribe button as well if you can, please. Looks like we've got 2 more people added to his coaching staff. There was originally 3 that were named. Yeah, there's like an analyst, isn't there? I think there's a new goalkeeper coach and a couple of other coaches as well. AMORIM's landing in Manchester an hour from now. Yeah, we've got all the trackers, haven't we, on the planes and stuff, which is funny. Joshua Owen, is Ugarte the best Keane replacement we've ever had? Steady on. Steady on now. Did you see last night's game with Sporting versus Braga, 2-0 to Braga, and then Sporting 1-4-2? Yeah. It's just fairy tale ending for AMORIM, isn't it? I think, yeah, it was perfect. I saw a lot of stuff from that reaction last night, and yeah, we're going to need that grit, determination, resilience in this team for sure. That's really shocking that we're only 4 points off. It's mad, isn't it? It's absolutely mad. Absolutely mad. Shreya's in the chat. Big up Shreya saying, took the ginger ale out after quite some time yesterday. Thank you, Rude. I was proud of Rude's subs yesterday. Bang on and the time of him. Yeah. I think everyone was sat, you know, whether it was in the ground or behind the TV, wherever he was watching it. And I think the majority of us would have gone, he needs to bring Rashford and Dalot off. Rashford's been so quiet. Dalot has had a stinker. Let's switch it up. And he just went, yep, no worries, lads. I've got you. Right, Johnny, warm up. Alejandro, warm up. Let's go. Spot on, yeah. Spot on that. It's 3 assistants, a sports scientist, and then a goalkeeper coach. Yeah, there we go. And that's what I mean. I just, to leave you with this, I don't think Rude will stay, personally. I think Rude will go. And, you know, I think he had plenty of opportunities to, you know, there was a couple of clubs who was talking to him about being a first-team manager, so maybe he'll go on and do that now. I do like him being there as a connector with the players. I think he's got a great relationship with them. You can see that. But as a new manager going in, a setup, you want your own people there. You know, you don't just want to keep people around because, you know, there was a player at the club or, you know, you want to do your own way in it. So I don't actually know if Ruben Amorim's going to say to him, we'll keep you on, but I don't know what capacity it's going to be. I really don't. I'm not going to moan if he stays. I'm not going to be too sad if he goes. I just think you need to function a certain way, and if Rude doesn't fit into that, if you think that's best for the way you operate, then I'll go with that decision. That's fine. But we'll find out the news anyway. Manchester United won the race to sign under 15 grassroots midfielder Emmanuel Zero from Creative Football Academy. Interesting. Ineos doing a lot of work in the younger ranks. From what Ruben said, it sounded like he would keep Rude around. Hopefully his goalkeeper coach tells Onana stop kicking it long to Garnacho. I don't mind some of the long balls. I don't mind some of them when they come off. They're all right. We get it straight into the attacking areas. But I get how they could be frustrating because when it goes up to Højlund, I think it just bounces off him and then they regain possession. Yeah, I don't mind it sometimes because it works, pays off. But you need to fine-tune that balance, don't you? Yeah, really need to fine-tune it. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that, guys. I appreciate all of you joining. I hope you all have had a relatively easy start to your week and it's not been too shit because I know Mondays can be awful for some people. But regardless, appreciate you joining me. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. We're on 7,415. So if you are new and you're just tuning in and you haven't hit that subscribe button, it's absolutely free. It takes 2 seconds. It's in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Corner. And leave a like for us as well. Hopefully you've appreciated this pros and cons. Slightly different change up today, but I think we've got through quite a bit of stuff today, and yeah, I've enjoyed it. So cheers for watching.